Oh, that
Holy
was
fuck, that was nice.
Powerlifting, cross country, and tennis.
you could not shoot. Well, actually, tennis is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Tennis is alright, especially if you can like crack it straight at the opponent, which is what my tactic was.
Oh yeah, my doubles partner got hit right in the face during a meet one day.
Oof.
He probably deserved it.
We got our asses kicked. But that's beside the point. It was fun.
Hey, it happens.
I mean, I was playing Summer League hockey, my first game of the season on Thursday, and they're only 40-minute games, and I broke myself within 10 minutes. Like, left hamstring, groin, and quad just like simultaneously. I did like one run across the field, and I was just like, something doesn't feel right. I was like, oh, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Did another sprint like it, and I was like, oh, something's wrong. And by the time I walked back to into the defense, I was like limping, going, I'm fucked. This is bad. Spent the rest of the game basically in a 5-meter radius, because that's as far as I could go without like feeling a sort of any damage going on. But yeah, I love getting old.
I'm glad you're okay. Getting old
I should do
sucks.
airsoft as a sport because that I feel like would be fun. I can carry a 50-pound rucksack and pretend to be Garrison all day.
Oh god.
Who
That's
doesn't
what
want
Garrison
that?
used to do before the Marines.
Wait, you were in airsoft, Garrison?
I used to be, yeah.
Hey, no way. What was that like?
I mean, it's fun. It's a damn good cardio sport if you're actually active in it.
That's what I thought. I was like, I can just haul this 50-pound rucksack around all day.
Yeah, don't do that.
Hey,
If you're gonna wear 50 pounds, get a plate carrier with actual sappy plates, and then run with that.
Hey,
I won't feel
Garrison.
pain like Ezra.
Garrison,
No, guys, my girlfriend is obsessed with airsoft. Like, she plays
You
religiously.
have a girlfriend?
No,
What's his name?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
what's his name?
Oh, that's nice.
Airsoft.
That's-
Yeah, right. What's his name?
Callum, what were you asking?
I was going to say, you want to know a sad fact, Garrison, about you and airsoft?
Oh god, what?
You saw more action in airsoft than you ever did on deployment.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. That's
should
very,
have, like,
very
off with
fucking
embarrassment.
true. God. I
You should
remember
actually. That would be so cool. You should make an airsoft ribbon.
an airsoft ribbon.
Yeah, like I was deployed to Milsom West.
Oh god.
Actually, what you should do is
please, you would rock that so hard.
you
I
should do
would
a
not.
an airsoft loadout of what you actually had as a loadout.
Yeah, like
At what
the
point in my
cheapest gear
life,
possible.
when I was a team leader, a grenadier, a rifleman, an anti-tank man, a fucking automatic gunner, which one?
Only then would you ever get an M27.
That was all
of
of those moments. Yeah, that was. I had a 27 on all of them.
Oh, never mind.
I'd say
Well,
probably
squad
like the
says
best one would
otherwise.
be your squad. The one that you used for that really brief squad support gun, the when you had the bipod and the fucking scope on it.
Oh, the fucking automatic rifleman.
Yeah, that one with the 30-round fucking mag for
Yeah, the
suppression.
M27,
Yeah.
right? That's what the M27 is.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love
IAR.
it. Nice. What if we made the BAR, but with an optic,
Yeah, pretty much.
and everyone has this BAR?
I'm about to say everyone has a fucking BAR. I've just got an optic with a wider lens.
And
That
less
was the
power.
only difference. Yeah, it was a 3.5 versus a 4, but it had a wider lens and an RMR on top. So
And then you just
Garrison,
trade
did
off
you
a lot
see
of
the,
power. You go
you see
from
how
like
in like squad, every guy apparently just has like a semi-auto M16 knockoff and not an M27.
yeah, that shit's kind of annoying.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel it's very aesthetic, right?
Well, it's more like because in the Marine Corps right now, a lot of your non-infantry units have M4s and M16s. So
And the
whenever I
one
played
squad that
squad,
they're picking is an engineer unit.
yeah, they're yeah, okay, then that would be accurate. First CEB had a lot of M16s and M4s. Mainly M4s.
Oh well, we've been recording for 5 minutes now, so Dennis, let's start this.
Alrighty,
Let's
one
light
moment,
this
please.
candle.
Hold on.
But while Dennis is holding on,
I'm holding.
I'm looking at the TACOM T55 AM, and yeah,
He's looking.
Oh, did y'all not hear William scream right now?
Yeah.
Yes, I heard William. Hi, William.
Okay, well, I was using him being upset about going to bed for my how excited I am for this kit. I'm an awesome dad.
Oh, exploiting the poor child's suffering.
Anyways,
are we doing the video capture, Dennis, or
Yes, that's why I'm just setting up right now because I'm finally back on Windows.
it's about fucking time, you
time.
fucking goofball.
I know, right?
You silly goose.
Linux shit?
Oh, I still have a Linux virtual machine on my desktop, so don't get your hopes up.
What have I missed?
Boobies.
Oh, just me being a computer guy.
Bro, you've missed like a year of shit. What are you talking about?
I was gonna say, yeah, you can say anything. You've missed everything, dude. Who is pinging me?
Yeah.
Who the hell is pinging me?
Ugh, coffee's so fucking good.
God damn it, who is pinging me? What?
Ain't no fucking way, Dennis. I think Dennis is a little delusional tonight.
What are you talking about, Dennis?
Who the hell is pinging me?
Are you hearing voices?
What the hell
Are
is
they
going
calling
on?
your name? Bro, are you like serious or are you just tripping?
Callum, what the hell?
So,
Hold on.
Ezra, I'll catch you up on one thing. We've had to upgrade Zencaster. I now have a soundboard, and I'm fucking with Dennis right now.
Oh, that's great.
Despite Dennis knowing there's a fucking soundboard,
I forgot.
I forgot. He literally texted our fucking chat.
I was hoping to get Ezra
God.
with it, and then I heard Dennis going, "Who's pinging me?" I was like, "No, he
No
couldn't
one
have forgotten."
texts Ezra, so like,
I just started
Well,
shaking
no,
my
no.
head.
I thought it was me, but I didn't want to say anything because I thought I'd get yelled at.
Well,
That's
we're
a
gonna
fair
yell at you
assumption,
anyways, but
Ezra.
that's not,
Fair
that's
assumption.
not the issue here.
No, I had to upgrade Zencaster to like a proper one, but so it was a bit pricey. But now I have access to a soundboard, so
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, it's been kind of heinous.
it's been fun. All right, we all watching, we all live, all of
We
that
are
bollocks?
live and recording.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, you should probably start then.
Yes. Well, welcome to the Micro Machines podcast. This week, we are talking about the B-25 Mitchell, the most produced medium bomber. And we actually have a relatively speaking full crew tonight. So shall we do
It's
some
about time.
introductions? Yeah.
Well, as usual, you got me, Callum, from New Zealand, and I'm just drinking a passion fruit sparkling water tonight. Although it's a bit weak on the flavour, it's it's more water flavored than passion fruit, but I'll go with it.
Does it have sugar in it, Callum?
None.
Well, then that's why.
0 calories, 0 sweetener, 0 sodium.
They all taste the same.
All right. Well, you got me, Garrison, out here in Kansas, drinking the coffee, pumpkin spice, because fuck you guys, and it's fall. And I'm just kind of staring at all my HIDF stuff, as well as planning out my next diorama. So,
Nice.
go Longhorns.
I'm Ezra in New Mexico, and I have a gallon of water sitting next to me, trying to regain my fluids.
He went for a long piss.
Try to regain your fluids. Okay. It's good to have you back, Ezra.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you back. Don't ever leave us
Good to
again.
be back.
All right, well, you got me, Dennis, in Ontario, and I am currently sipping on an instant coffee.
Yuck. All right. So
Callum.
this week, yeah.
take us away. Well, never mind. Never mind. You preempted me.
I was just about to. Yeah, okay, yeah. No. You say it. You go for it.
No,
Go for it. You
no,
need to speak up though. You're a
no.
bit quiet in the recording, but.
All right, Callum, take us
Callum.
away.
Yeah, take us away.
All right. Okay, so this week we're doing the B-25 Mitchell. It was the most produced medium bomber and the third most produced American aircraft. So, if we go to the first one, we need to talk about what preempted the B-25, and the main thing is everything in the U.S. Air Force at the time was already obsolete. This is around 1938. We're looking at.
Wait,
so of
Callum,
course
what
the
do you mean? The TBD Devastator wasn't obsolete, right?
no,
performed
totally. It was
wonderfully at
totally
Fall
fine.
Sleep.
Yeah. So,
I say we use these at Midway. Nothing bad will happen.
I'm sure nothing. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You don't need to worry about it. It'll be fine. So of course, around 1938, you got things starting to kick off in Europe, and America was kind of looking at everyone, going, their things are a bit better than ours. Of course, at the time, all America had in the way of bombers. Of course, this is the time where the term medium bomber hadn't actually been defined. There were no medium, light, heavy, anything like that. They just called them bombers, ground attack, whatever. So at the time, they had things like the A-18 Strike II, the SBC Helldiver, A-12 Strike, B-18 Bolo, the B-10, the Devastator. A whole bunch of already obsolete aircraft that totally weren't going to get absolutely massacred. Of course, they're looking across to say Germany. You're starting to see stuff like the HE111, Dornier DO17, the Junkers JU88. You got the British coming out with their stuff, the Wellington. They're falling behind a bit, so they need something fast. So on March 11, 1939, the Air Corps issued proposal number 39-640, outlining requirements for a new bomber that had a 3,000-pound bomb load, a 2,000-mile range, and a top speed exceeding 300 miles an hour. This bomber was expected to operate at altitudes ranging from 8,000 to 14,000 feet. This proposal marked a revolutionary moment in aviation history. Contracts were to be awarded based on a bidder's proposed specifications, drawings, and performance, which carried inherent risks, as there was no guarantee the manufacturers could deliver aircraft meeting their specifications on schedule. The potential reward lay in saving time, a critical factor at a time when experimental aircraft often underwent 2 to 3 years of testing before contracts were granted. The United States couldn't afford such extended development periods. Of course, this was also around 1939-1940, where Japan is starting to, make some noises against America. I think at this point, America had placed embargoes on oil, fuel, a whole bunch of resources to Japan because Japan at the time were currently in former Manchuria, now China, doing some heinous things that they, won't admit to. They needed something. So North America's response to this challenge was the B-25, which presented a solution that was easy to construct, pilot, and maintain. This would ultimately result in a significantly lower overall cost compared to the Martin B-26, another contender. In the end, contracts were awarded to both the B-25 and B-26. Lee Atwood, North America's Vice President and Chief Engineer, led the medium bomber project, aiming to create an aircraft that was straightforward to repair, maintain, whilst being pilot-friendly. North American drew valuable lessons from its NA-40 test program. The B-25's basic design incorporated many features from the NA-40, including tricycle landing gear, twin vertical tails with similar shapes, the root airfoil, identical engine and cowling shapes, constant dihedral wings, and underslung nacelles. The B-25 would also feature Hamilton propellers, which was originally intended for the NA-40 but was never installed. It featured side-by-side pilot seating, greater speed, range, and payload capacity. The wing was repositioned to a shoulder position, and the gross weight was increased by 8,000 pounds. North American initially preferred an unproven Pratt & Whitney R28 Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine due to its approximate 300 horsepower advantage over the Wright R2600, and it had a slightly smaller outside diameter, which would reduce drag. Ultimately, the proven Wright R2600 engines were selected. So that's the basic concept behind the B-25. If we go on to the next slide, Dennis. So this is the B-25. No, this is just it, the first one. We will need to say, this is not even a prototype. There were no prototypes of the B-25. That's how rushed this program was. No prototypes
Sounds a lot
at
like
all.
the F-35. Screw it. We'll just we'll refine it as we build them in production.
It's like, yeah, this is the first one. Now the next one's the second one, and don't need to worry about anything else. So you notice this one, the B-25, the original one, they didn't even leave America. Technically, they weren't even part of the Air Force, Army, whatever. But during their testing, they had U.S. Air Force markings. Little tidbit. So on August 19th, 1940, the inaugural B-25-NA aircraft embarked on its maiden flight under the command of test pilot Vance Breese and test engineer Roy Farron. Following this initial flight, Engineer Farron noted a significant roll yaw issue. The B-25's testing program progressed with relatively few hiccups. During taxi tests, the nose gear collapsed due to a shimmy damper problem. On a different test flight, a fuel line ruptured, causing damage to the aircraft and necessitating an emergency wheels-up landing on the field between the runways at Mines Field. Fortunately, this incident resulted in no serious injuries, and the aircraft was swiftly repaired. That's what you get when you don't prototype. Things aren't always the best first out.
Shit happens.
It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Like it's fast, you know. What, you expect it to stay on the field all the time?
So throughout the testing phase, go back. Not finished.
There's no testing phase, though.
Yeah,
There's
Dennis, you
no
fucking
prototype.
fuck.
Throughout the testing phase, 5 different vertical tail configurations were examined, with the 5th one eventually becoming the familiar design seen today. The twin tails were found to offer the best balance of control and reduced vulnerability from the rear. Captain Frank Cook conducted test evaluations at the Air Corps and conducted test evaluations for the Air Corps and identified a Dutch roll characteristic that he considered unsuitable for accurate bomb runs. Does anyone here know what a Dutch roll is? Dennis?
A pastry.
Are you fucking kidding?
Basically, a Dutch roll is when an aircraft will roll and yaw at the same time in opposite ways, and basically it kind of makes the whole thing screwed up. So
not a delicious Stroop waffle then.
No, but I wouldn't mind one right now.
Shit, now I'm hungry.
To address this issue, the dihedral of the outer wing panels were eliminated, giving the B-25 its distinctive gull wing configuration, which was first applied to the 10th aircraft. There is some anecdotal evidence to suggest that the first 9 aircraft underwent modifications. Specifically, aircraft 40-2166, 40-2170, 73, 74, and 76 were briefly recalled to Inglewood from their initial assigned units. The reasons for this recall remain unclear. Aircraft 40-2168 was indeed modified, resulting in the adoption of the current gull wing configuration. This likely occurred in 1943 when North American undertook the modification to convert the aircraft for General Arnold's personal transport use. While the B-25NA exceeded performance expectations, it had certain constraints owing to the absence of armor protection and self-sealing fuel tanks. The B-25NA models were manufactured designated for training purposes or transport roles. The majority of these aircraft, a total of 19, were assigned to McCord Field for training with the 17th Bombardment Group. There is only one left, and that's in the top right. There is only one original B-25 left. You'll notice they have next to no guns on it. There's one in the tail, one in the nose, and that was about it.
And were these 50s or 30s at that point?
I believe the one in the tail was a 50, the one in the nose was a 30. That was it.
Yeesh.
Yeah, not many to this, but this could have been designed by the the Japanese. I mean, no armor protection and no self-sealing fuel tanks. That's a Japanese design, isn't it?
Well, it's cool when they do it. But
Is there asbestos?
Oh, probably somewhere.
Then the Japs made it.
No, that's their tanks, not their aircraft.
I'm twitching. Dennis?
Mind you, they put asbestos into everything back then. I mean, you know there was cigarettes that had asbestos bloody filters.
Well,
Guns
the
cigarettes.
No!
tires,
No!
wasn't that a good thing?
It's like, what do you get? It's like, what do you want? Cancer? Well, asbestositis.
Grandma, why are you coughing like that?
Number of reasons.
God.
So, if we go to the next one, Dennis. So, we come to the B-25A. This is the first time they actually started making them a bit more. So, distinguishing the B-25A from a B-25 proved to be a challenge since they shared identical visual appearances. Moreover, the serial numbers were not applied to the vertical tail assembly. The modifications introduced in the B-25A were intentionally aimed at enhancing the aircraft's survivability in combat situations. These changes included the installation of self-sealing fuel cells, replacing the fuel tanks, albeit reducing the total capacity by 224 gallons. This represented a 24% decrease compared to the B-25NA. Additionally, the inclusion of armor plate was added for an extra 612 pounds of weight. These alterations collectively resulted in a 32% reduction in the range of the B-25A, equating to a decrease of 650 miles. Clearly, these were substantial and meaningful modifications. The majority of B-25A's A models were assigned to McCord Field for training alongside the 17th Bombardment Group. Furthermore, 6 aircraft were allocated to the 30th, 43rd, 39th, and 44th. It's worth noting that all B-25A aircraft were manufactured and delivered before the United States entered World War II and initially served as training aircraft. So you can see that this is a very early. It doesn't even have a dorsal turret at all. The two pictures on the right, though, you will see that's just showing the interesting gunner, the tail gunner position. They lay down prone in this small capsule, which seems like a claustrophobic nightmare.
That's scary.
So it's like the HE-111 gunner.
Yeah,
Didn't the HE-111's tail gun, wasn't that remotely controlled?
The HE-111, they didn't have a tail gun.
Their nose gunner.
They
had to
used,
lay down.
yeah. Their rear defense was a gondola and a ventral. Yeah. So if you want to make a model of B-25A, though, you basically just take a B-25B and remove the top and dorsal turrets. Basically, you got yourself an A. If you ever want to make one, there are no models of a B-25A or a B-25, the original.
Have fun filling those gaps in.
Oof. Nah. Got a plastic card, you'll be alright. Nah, you'll be fine.
You'll be alright, he says.
Yeah, saying the man who builds kits from the fucking 40s. Ugh.
And I'm only like a quarter of my way through my Tamiya putty.
I am actually surprised. What is that, like your 5th bottle?
Right, if we go to the next one, we have what made the B-25 famous. We have the B-25B, which, of course, participated in the Doolittle raid. This is the first time, and I think only time, a B-25 were launched off carriers to carry out attacks in Tokyo. But before that, as the United States approached entry into the war, B-25 was demonstrating its capabilities during training. North American fulfilled their NA-62 contract with the B-25B, but the earlier B-25 and B-25A models lacked robust defensive features, featuring only a couple of small caliber machine guns and a single 50 cal in the rear. It was clear that preparations were needed to ready the B-25 for wartime operations. To achieve this, the tailgun position, along with the protective armor for the gunner, was eliminated. In their place,
Fuck that guy.
In its place, two Bendix turrets were installed in the rear fuselage. The top turret accommodated two 50 calibers, while the retractable lower turret housed an additional pair of 50 cal. These turrets provided the flexibility for a gunner to fire in nearly any direction, and the upgrade from a single 50 cal to 4 was a substantial improvement. However, the addition of these turrets introduced increased aerodynamic drag to the aircraft. To mitigate this effect, the lower turret was designed to be retractable. However, this design had its challenges. Quite often, the turret would jam in the down position. You try and bring it up, and the whole thing just jams itself. Gunners also found it difficult to operate and would frequently experience vertigo while using it. As a result, the lower turret was frequently removed in the field. Despite these issues, the lower turret design remained part of the B-25 for the subsequent B-25C and D models. So you can see in the little diagram, bottom left, you see just how these turrets worked, and yeah, like basically all of them were removed because they just didn't feel them necessary. Basically, they kind of weren't. I mean, when you think about it.
Wait,
Well,
how did
so
how did the gunner sit in the how did the
So they
gunner
used-
sit
so-
in the belly?
The ventral. Well, he didn't sit in it. It was a remotely controlled, and he used a periscope to aim, which seems interesting.
That's dope. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's an
First
interesting
ever
design.
VR headset.
Yo, he's playing VTOL VR.
Oh God.
you can see how they get vertigo though, eh?
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Fuck.
well, the thing to me that always gets me is like this is a relatively fast aircraft for what it is. If anything, would you not really want to, maybe have a tail gun, but like the turrets are causing all this drag. Get rid of them. Get the extra, 10 miles an hour of speed because that might actually make a difference.
Yeah, you lose a lot of weight. You can carry more fuel. It's just the ventral turrets just don't make sense, you know. Of course, we have photos of the iconic moment the B-25 became famous, and that was the Doolittle raid. The B-25B was the first B-25 series to see action in combat. It's noteworthy that the Doolittle Raiders flew modified B-25B bombers. B-25 was compact enough to fit on an aircraft carrier and possessed the necessary power to take off from one, making it the ideal choice for the most audacious missions of the war. The initial 184 B-25s were now proving their value on the battlefield. The demand for more was steadily rising. Distinguishing the B-25B from previous models was relatively simple by noting the presence of two rear gun turrets, an exposed tail skid, and a single 30 cal gun located in the plexiglass nose. You'll also note, if you look at the bottom right photo, you'll see a photo of the rear of one of the B-25s, and it looks like it's got a couple of guns in it. Those are decoys. Those are actual those are broomsticks that have been painted up as
What the fuck?
to look like a gun turret.
Yes, because
Jesus.
the Japanese Zero that has gotten close enough to actually see the individual guns is definitely going to be deterred by the fact that it sees two sticking out.
Hey. Budget cuts, gents. Okay, budget cuts.
It's like, where are the 50s? No. You get better than 50s. You get a broomstick.
Good one, LT. No, I'm serious, bro.
If you want to make a B-25B, you've got two main choices. Dennis is going to hate both of them. The first one is the Academy kit.
Fiendish. Horrible. Oh, God.
And the second one is an Airfix kit.
Not really giving me many options here, Callum.
There aren't. I'm going to give you a little warning.
Hey, that
Dennis,
Airfix kit is not bad.
I'm going to
Who
warn
brought
you.
him back on?
Building a literal Italian
Who brought him back?
Yeah, you were dismissed into
Dennis, I'm going to
The
give you
Airfix
a
kit is
content
good.
warning. The early makes and models of B-25s you're not going to like. the models for. Just little heads up.
I'm starting to get the feeling that based off the fact this is a weird twin-engine aircraft, I'm not probably going to like any of the models of this, am I?
You will,
Oh, okay. I'm holding
but
out
later
hope.
on.
Not HK though. HK sucks.
Okay, now you're fucked.
Tough times for the little man.
No, in all honesty, the Airfix kit is not bad. It's actually pretty good.
Well, Ezra, does the Airfix kit give you the broomsticks?
Well, I'd assume they wouldn't be that hard to add yourself.
Well, if
Like,
I'm not
is
getting
that asking
broomsticks,
too
I don't really
much?
know what we're doing here. Like, I feel like this is just what's going
You're
on.
right.
Come
It's
on.
highway. It's highway robbery at that point.
Yeah. You mean to tell me I'm paying for this whole kit and I'm not getting my broomsticks?
You're right. How dare they?
Okay,
While you
so
guys are arguing about fucking broomsticks on a model kit, I'm staring at the best resin printed AT4 I've ever seen, and it is fucking gorgeous.
you need to send us a photo.
Where?
I will.
But
I'm
before
holding it
then,
right now.
up next after the B, of course, we have the C. So, in late 1941, as the final B-25B aircraft was still in production, the manufacture of the B-25C had commenced. The B-25C marked a significant milestone as the first B-25 produced in substantial quantities, with a total of 1,625 units being constructed. Notably, this model is unique in that the entire production blocks were contracted to foreign nations. The Netherlands received 162 B-25Cs, while China and Britain each received 150. Under the British, in the RAF, the B-25C was also known as the Mitchell Mark II, by the way. Independent of any Lend-Lease arrangements or individual bombers finding their way to other countries, although the B-25C was heavier and slower than its predecessors, it boasted an extended operational range. The B-25 closely resembled the B-25D, with both models being manufactured nearly simultaneously in different facilities. The only surefire way to distinguish a B-25C from a B-25D was examining their serial numbers. The knowledge gained from prior B-25 models was incorporated into these new models, with some of the most noticeable changes including the solid tail skid on the B-25C and D models. Given the more extended production period for B-25C, modifications and adjustments were made within each production block. Some changes were even implemented mid-production block, allowing for specific custom variations to emerge without necessitating widespread modifications. However, certain changes were still carried out at the modification centres. Notably, the B-25C 42-32281 was transformed into the XB-25E, and B-25C-15s were modified into the first B-25Gs. Detailed information about these modifications can be found in subsequent pages. The B-25C underwent exhaust system changes over time. Initially, it featured a shortened version resembling the one seen on the B-25B, with a North American also experimenting with a finger-style exhaust designed as a flame quencher. However, this design was prone to cracking and rarely made it into combat without modifications. In later production blocks, the B-25C introduced hooded S-type exhaust stacks. Additionally, both the top aft turret and the less popular bottom turret were retained on the B-25C models. Later B-25C models replaced the 30 cal nose gun with a combination of one flexible and one fixed 50 cal gun. Early in production, the turrets were swapped for Bendix Amplitude turrets. The B-25C bombers saw extensive combat use, and towards the end of the war, the older B-25 bombers were consigned to the scrapyards. As a result, surviving B-25C aircraft are rare, with only a handful of known airframes in existence, all of which are static displays at best. A lot of them were basically destroyed. Of course, the B-25C, if you are part of the North African campaign group build, well, you can build one. They participated in North Africa, and you got a couple examples up there with their more beige colours. Dennis, unfortunately for you, if you wanted to build one of these, you have again Airfix Academy, or if you really hate yourself, you've also got Frog.
Screw it. At least the frog one will be cheap.
He says that now. Just wait.
Oof, that's gotta be back. I'll be back in 1 sec. I'm just gonna let the recording go. I'm just gonna run off for a second. I'll be back in a minute.
Well, boys, we are all here. I guess we own the podcast now, since Calum's gone.
Yes, go look at podcast planning, though.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Picture of model AT4 versus
Woo!
real life AT4.
Is that resin?
It is resin. It's from Alley.
Oh, that's very nice.
I'm working
Even
on
that
assembling
M4 is
some of the.
pretty nice.
Oh, dude, it's gorgeous. It's from one of the figure sets I'm getting, or I got for the Ukraine diorama I'm going to work on. So right now I'm just putting together figures.
I own an AT4 for home defense because that's what Lyndon Johnson intended. 3T64 was breaking into my house. What the devil, I say, as I grab it.
Hey! Don't be jealous. Okay.
Blow a golf ball size hole through the first T64. He's
Golf
ammo rack
ball
on the
my
spot.
ass. Oh man.
Did I miss anything?
Yes,
Check
Garrison's
out-
defending in his home from 3T64 is just like Lyndon Johnson intended.
Check out fucking podcast planning. Look at the resin AT4 versus a real one.
It's not bad. Is
Not
it?
bad. It's fucking amazing. Like, it has like literally every single detail that is on the AT4 is on there.
Ah, yeah. I'm looking at it wrong angle. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's actually not bad, eh?
I just wish the shoulder stop and the sights were open, but that would be so brittle it would probably break on shipping. So I don't blame them.
I mean, you can probably scratch build that, right?
Oh, I definitely will be.
Stretch sprue.
I'll probably just get some paper and do it because they're so tiny. I gotta fit it on this fucking shoulder first.
I don't know. Recently, I found stretch sprue is like the greatest thing.
Oh, it definitely can be. Definitely can be.
Well, they also depend on the manufacturer of the. Like, there's some companies that you try and do stretch sprue, and it's just ugh,
Shit.
just like.
Yeah, it's
just
true.
won't. All right.
Revell plastic melts like immediately. You need like Tacom.
Tacom or Tamiya are probably the best ones. Mini art will just turn into a globulous mass. Anyway, shall we go on to the B-25D, Dennis?
Waiting for you, you silly goose.
Thank you.
It's a Karktan B-25.
Oh god.
And look, it's Airfix again. And Academy. I think this episode is bringing Dennis pain.
Man,
He's
I
gonna
can't
be
even model.
Academy's
You're-
overrated.
Yeah,
Did Ezra just say Academy is overrated?
he's learning.
Y'all judge Academy too harshly.
Okay, which one is it, buddy? You don't get to pick and choose.
I mean, if you want to do a
Listen,
weekend
Dennis,
build of a
Academy is
70-second
not bad.
aircraft,
I personally have never built a bad Academy kit.
Oh no! You know what?
Okay,
I
now
will
it's
fully
fine.
say that there are certain Academy kits like the Avenger, which are great. But the thing is, they're not Academy kits. They're just accurate miniatures kits with like a new box on them.
I mean, that's true. I don't know. They're still good. In 1939, the US government recognized the impending likelihood of the nation's involvement in a war and initiated preparations. These preparations included scouting locations for the construction of new plants to manufacture war machinery. The Inglewood, California plant, situated near the coast, was deemed vulnerable to foreign attacks, prompting the search for a more secured heartland location to bolster bomber production.
What's
In
up?
19... Pardon?
Oh, go ahead.
In 1940, a suitable location was identified adjacent to the Fairfax Municipal Airport in Kansas City, Kansas. On December 16th, 1940, the construction of North American's Kansas plant at the Fairfax Airport received approval, and the formal groundbreaking took place on March 8th, 1941. On April 17th, 1941, the first employees of the Kansas plant moved into their office space. By December 23rd, 1941, the first B-25D bomber was completed. This aircraft, christened Miss Greater Kansas City by Enid Bender, the wife of Thomas L. Bender, was B-25D SN 4129648, and it was marked the inaugural B-25 assembled by the Kansas plant. Prior to its completion, it was swiftly painted overnight by Larry Contrail, employee number 145, in preparation for a visit from then Senator Harry S. Truman. Pilot Paul Balfour conducted the maiden flight of Miss Greater Kansas City on January 3rd, 1942. A total of 42 B-25D bombers would be modified into B-25D F-10s. One of these aircraft was returned to North American Aviation in Inglewood, California, and converted into a B-25B bomber, resembling the B-25B flown by Jimmy Doolittle in the Tokyo raid, a topic that we're going to talk about later on. Initially, the original contract, NA-87, authorized the construction of 1,200 B-25D bombers, which were identical to the B-25C bombers. In fact, the first 100 B-25D bombers were assembled using B-25C components. However, in February of 1942, North American secured a contract to build 200 B-29 bombers at the plant, resulting in the initiation of the construction of the high bay. Yet, by June of 1942, the pressing need for more B-25 bombers became evident, leading to the cancellation of the B-29 bomber contract. A new contract, NA-100, was signed on June 26, 1942, authorizing an additional 1,090 B-25D bombers. Ultimately, the B-25D bomber production reached a grand total of 2,290 by March of 1944. The high bay expansion played a crucial role in the significant increase in B-25 production. During early B-25D production, supply shortages plagued the plant, and by late 1942, production had nearly come to a halt. To address this issue, North American invited representatives from General Motors to rectify the problem. The Fairfax plant reduced its reliance on external suppliers and moved more production in-house. The assembly line was redesigned, capitalizing on the additional 376,300 square feet of space gained through the high bay expansion. An overhead conveyor was installed to facilitate the movement of parts from production to assembly. In the span between April and May of 1943, the entire production line was relocated without interrupting the production process. As a result of these changes, the Fairfax plant was able to manufacture nearly 4 times the number of aircraft in 1943 compared to the preceding year, and production continued to increase throughout the war. So the difference between a B-25D and a B-25C is basically where it was built. Other than that, there's no real difference between them. Basically, a B-25D was built in Kansas. B-25Cs were built in California. That's about it, really. If you want to build one, Airfix and Academy again. I think I can hear Dennis crying in the background.
It's not right, man. This isn't fair. Arma Hobby, make a 172 scale B-25D. That would be awesome.
Yeah. If we go to the next one, as I said before, there was a modification, the F-10. So this is a reconnaissance B-25. You'll notice the cheeks on the nose. Those are for installing cameras.
Oh, yeah.
So when the United States entered World War II, the significance of aerial photography was well understood. A considerable portion of the world remained scientifically unmapped, and many of the existing maps were either inadequate or inaccurate. In 1942, the Trim-Trigon camera system was introduced, primarily employing 3 synchronized K-17 6-inch cameras. This Trime Trogon system revolutionized the process of aerial photo mapping, enabling the rapid and efficient mapping of expansive areas. The stability of the B-25 made it an ideal choice not only as a bomber, but also for aerial photography. A single B-25D-F10 flying at 200 miles an hour could map 20,000 square miles in just 4 hours. All B-25D-F10 aircraft were taken directly from the Fairfax assembly line to the modification center for conversion. This conversion process involves stripping the plane of all armament and armor, reducing its weight by approximately 1,000 pounds. The distinctive bug-eye nose was installed to accommodate the Trime Trogon camera system, while the aircraft usually retained its standard reconnaissance camera situated aft of the bomb bay. Over the course of 1942 and 1943, a total of 50 B-25D bombers were transformed into the F-10. The B-25 was no stranger to cameras, as the military recognized the value of aerial reconnaissance. Many B-25 bombers were already equipped with cameras located either just after the bomb bay or later near the tail guns. These camera systems played a crucial role in assessing the effectiveness of bomb runs. Typically, these cameras were K17, 20, 21, or 24 models, and they were set to capture continuous images at predetermined time intervals. Some systems could automatically activate the cameras when the bomb bay doors were opened, while others required manual initiation. B-25D-F10 was also employed for aerial reconnaissance, particularly for capturing images behind enemy lines. The F-10 bombers were utilized by various photo mapping and photo reconnaissance squadrons. Initially, they were deployed by the 311th Photo Wing, and later the 3rd, 7th, and 10 Photo Recon Squadrons. Additionally, the 11th Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron, the 18th Combat Mapping Squadron, 19th and 34th Photo Recon, and the 91st Photo Mapping Squadron were also known to operate the F-10 modification. On November 7th, 1957, Colonel Jack A. Sims conceived the idea of modifying a B-25 to resemble Jimmy Doolittle's B-25B. The goal was to present the aircraft at the upcoming Doolittle Raider reunion scheduled for April 18, 1958, and every available resource was harnessed to meet this deadline. Since utilizing an existing B-25B was not feasible, B-25D-F10 SN 433374 was chosen. It was flown to the North American plant in Inglewood, California, where it was reconfigured to visually replicate a B-25B. The deadline was successfully met, and the aircraft is now on display at the National Museum of the Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. And that photo is down at the bottom left. So, of course, there are no model kits for an F-10 conversion, but I feel like that's probably something you could scratch build fairly easily, or 3D print. There must be a
I
conversion
feel like
kit somewhere.
this entire subject is just like get the base kit and then you can scratch build everything else.
Pretty much, yeah. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind a recon one. And don't worry, this is not like last episode where I go on forever. There's only like a couple more left, so don't worry if you're getting bored.
Oh.
Although the next
You're
few
fine.
you shouldn't be bored about because
Oh,
Ain't nothing boring about this.
no, these are the Mitchells that employed a 75mm cannon. There's nothing boring about that. So we are talking about the B-25G, also known as the Big Dakka. So the B-25G was conceived in response to a request from the United States Army that centered on the integration of the 75mm cannon, designated as the M4. Very original. Which had been undergoing development and testing since 1936. By 1938, successful installation and testing of the M4 cannon had occurred in a Douglas B-18, and a demonstration took place at Eglin Field in 1940. To further enhance the cannon's capabilities, commercial firms were invited to participate in its development, leading to an improved design featuring a lighter cannon with increased firepower. The addition of a cannon to the B-25 posed numerous challenges and uncertainties when engineer George Wing was tasked with addressing. The ideal location for the cannon was found in the Bombardier's crawl tunnel, offering ample space for recoil and storage of ammunition in the navigator's compartment. The forward section of a B-25 was modified to test this new design, and to accommodate the cannon, the nose of the B-25 was shortened by 26 inches, considered the maximum aerodynamically acceptable reduction. The cannon's barrel end still aligned closely with the nose contour. Extensive fire tests were conducted with progressively higher propellant charges. The structure was reinforced until it could withstand prolonged firing of overcharged rounds. The XB-25G, a modification of B-25C, underwent test flights in October 22, 1942, to evaluate the aircraft's flight characteristics. The first test shots were fired from the aircraft on October 23, 1942. North American conducted full testing of the XB-25G before delivering it to Eglin Field for further testing by the Air Corps. Following successful testing, the Air Corps ordered 400 B-25Gs to be produced without lower turrets. Additionally, an extra 65 B-25C bombers were modified and redesignated as Gs, with most of these conversions carried out in Kansas. The production of the B-25G marked the initial phase of the decline of the B-25 production in Inglewood, California, with a subsequent focus on ramping up production in Kansas. Except for experimental aircraft, the B-25G and the B-25A are the only models for which no surviving airframes are known to have endured the war. Regrettably, the B-25G did not gain much popularity, partly due to the cannon's tendency to disrupt the navigational compass by as much as 15 degrees when fired. Moreover, the lower turret was consistently unpopular and often removed in the field. The Hawaiian Air Depot replaced the cannon with an 8-gun nose of an unspecified number of B-25Gs. Any remaining aircraft were eventually sold for scrap at the war's conclusion. So,
They said, "Fuck this aircraft. Get it the hell out of here."
well, I mean, you fire it and suddenly your compass is out by 15 degrees. That is a lot. Like, you're not coming home on that.
Also, how close do you have to be? I mean, the problem is the 75, right? Like, you're not getting off many shots with this thing in a single strafing run, and it's only one shell. You gotta hit. So how close do you have to be to a target to actually hit it? Ugh. I take 850s in the nose over the 75, to be honest.
Right, and how did they
yeah.
reload the 75? Like, where did they store the ammo?
I think it was an automatic system.
It was, I think, yeah, it was a something, yeah, but the ammo was stored like in underneath the cockpit, I think.
In the navigator position.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
I will say though, the nose arts for solid nose Mitchells are really cool. If you want to build one of these, you have two options. One is again Academy in 48th, or Dennis, you could build Artillery.
I would take the Artillery. I would take the Artillery over the Academy.
I don't know. I like the decals for the Artillery one more. I like the nose. Yeah. I don't know. However, we go on to the B-25H, which also had a 75mm in it. So, although the cannon-equipped B-25 concept didn't live up to its combat expectations, the idea still held promise. An additional 1,000 improved bombers were ordered, resulting in the creation of the B-25H, an aircraft with a mixture of improvements and controversies. The M4 cannon was replaced by a lighter T-13E1 75mm cannon. To accommodate the changes, the aft top turret was shifted forward, and the fuselage was slightly lowered to create space for twin 50 cal tail guns. These alterations made the B-25 easily distinguishable. The B-25H also featured 4 forward 50 cal guns instead of the previous 2, although these were occasionally removed in the field. The first 300 B-25Hs had 2 50 cal side blister guns in the right side only, while the remaining 700 aircraft included blister guns on both sides. Although the appearance varied slightly, there was a field modification available to add side blister guns to nearly any B-25 model lacking them. The B-25 was very modular. The fuselage modifications also allowed for the installation of 2 50 cal waist guns, making the B-25H one of the most formidable B-25s in the air at the time. The first B-25H was once again a modified B-25C. As the new cannon wasn't yet ready for testing, this B-25C was equipped with a B-25G 2-gun nose featuring the M4 cannon. A redesigned tail section was added along with the relocation of the top turret. This modified aircraft, known as Mortimer II, was also fitted with a modified Wright R2600-20 engine. Interestingly, the modified engine did not make it into the production blocks. The final B-25G was delivered in August along with the first B-25H. The last B-25H produced at the Inglewood, California plant was also marked the end of B-25 production there. Bones, which was SN 43-5104, was completed in July 1944. As the aircraft approached completion, North American employees covered it with dollar bills, which were collected and donated to the Army-Navy Relief Fund. North American President Dutch Kindleberger arranged for brushes and paint, and the employees used them to sign the historic bomber. Bones was assigned to the 10th Air Force 12th Bomb Group and arrived in India on November 30th. Many photographs of Bones in service still show the signatures of the employees. Today, only 4 B-25H bombers are known to have survived. Presently, only one of these, Barbie 3, or SN 43-4106, is airworthy. Among those remaining 3, Dog Days still retains the B-25H nose. SN 43-4432 is undergoing restoration, but it has a B-25J nose, while the other is a static display with a B-25J 8-gun nose. If you want to build one of these, really cool B-25s, Airfix has one, and HK Models has one in 32nd scale.
Over
Wow.
500,000 rivets? Sam.
Wingspan of a B-25H Mitchell in 32nd scale. Wingspan
64
643.
That is 2 rulers long. Wow.
And it's a shade under half a meter long. Jesus. That's
See,
ridiculous.
what gets me is just 500,000 rivets. Wow. I wouldn't even have to rivet that thing. I could just build it straight out of the box.
Jesus.
But you know you won't.
Well, no, of course, you have to add another 500,000.
You'd
A
rivet
total
on
plane
rivets.
is 100% rivet. It's not riveted enough.
Nah. So yeah, there's a few photos showing with the 75 in it, including the T-13E1 in the top middle there, showing just how the gun sits. But again, some really cool nose arts for these ones, and you finally see the turret coming from the rear up to the front, and this carried on for the last make and model of the B-25, which, Dennis, if you could do the honors. The B-25J. And this one, trying to find photos, it had 2 types of noses. You had a glazed one and a solid one with 850 cals in it, which is for strafing runs, which is one hell of a ornament right there. So, as the B-25J contract was finalized, production of B-25 aircraft at the Fairfax plant was shifted to the High Bay facility. With more available space in the original plant areas, production increased, and efforts were made to reduce reliance on external suppliers through increased subassembly work at the plant. Remarkably, during this transition, the plant did not shut down. Instead, assembly and manufacture processes were accelerated. The first B-25J bombers rolled off the assembly line in December 1943. The B-25J, the most heavily armed B-25 model to date, essentially combined the best features of the B-25H and the B-25D. Described by the United States Army as preferred due to increased firepower, improved bomb run stability, and superior performance in armament, speed, altitude stability, visibility, night flying, and short field characteristics. The B-25J had 2 basic versions based on the nose configuration: an 8-gun Strafer version and a more recognizable greenhouse version. The 8-gun Strafer was equipped with twin 50 cal blister packs on each side and a top turret, providing a total of 14 50 cal guns pointing forward.
Jeez.
14 50 cals. That is that is a lot of ammo. Like that is
We're gonna kill them one way or the other.
if you're caught in that stream, you're not walking away from that. So the B-25J is arguably the most iconic among all B-25 models, largely thanks to the exceptional efficiency of the Fairfax bomber plant. During peak production, the plant was churning out 10 B-25J bombers per day. Even after the Inglewood, California plant ceased production, the Fairfax plant continued to meet the demand for B-25s. In fact, production surpassed demand towards the end of the war, earning the plant the Army-Navy E for Excellence Award on October 6, 1944. Production at the North American Kansas plant continued until August 15, 1945, when they received official notice to halt production from Captain William H. Howell, the contracting officer. At the time, there were still 72 incomplete but flyable B-25s on the production line. On August 15, 1945, an unidentified high-ranking colonel visited the final assembly line and drew a line in the sand. Any aircraft with engines already mounted would be completed, whilst everything else behind that line would be scrapped. At that moment, there were 38 B-25Js in final assembly from the engine mounting station forward. Additionally, there were 12 in the armament hangar and 22 completed aircraft waiting to be fitted with their guns outside the armament hangar. These 72 aircraft were the last ones. Most of the employees were laid off on August 20th, 1945, leaving a small group of employees to begin the scrapping process and complete the final 38 aircraft. For the other 34, being incomplete simply meant they hadn't received their guns yet, and since the war had ended, they were flown to storage without their guns. The remaining B-25s were finished over the next 60 days by their remaining personnel. The last B-25J, SN 45-8899, was photographed the day it was completed on October 15, 1945, at the Fairfax plant. The remaining B-25J bombers were flown to storage on October 30th, 31 in 1945, and Jack Fitchner, a security guard, turned off the lights to the Fairfax B-25 bomber plant for the last time. On November 5th, 1945, General Motors assumed control of the plant and initiated the transformation from aircraft manufacturing to automobile production. It was just me, does that seem a bit sad, that last bit? It's just like
A little bit.
yeah, it's just the sort of like a movie of like the security guard just like flipping the lights and like walking away for the last time. It's a bit anticlimactic.
Especially whenever then they come in to build fucking cars. It's like,
I know.
no.
It's like, no, just keep building B-25s. Just do it. If you want to build a J, there are a lot, but I'm just gonna. There's a lot of the companies that make them, but I think you got, of course, HK Models. They do both the glazed nose and the strafer, and Eduard do the B-25J in strafer in 72nd. So that's probably the best bet you're going to get for a decent kit of a B-25. Am I right, Dennis?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, Revell does the 48 scale glaze nose.
Oh god, here we go with fucking Revell.
He sees an Eduard kit in 172. He's like, no, you know what would be better? A Revell kit in 148.
Yes, exactly. No, the Revell 148 scale bomber kits are not bad. If you can look past the raised panel lines, they're so good.
Oh yeah, if you look past
guys, running is not bad. Cycling is not that great. Running is not bad.
Yeah, never trust the guy who does cross country running to have it down model kits. Callum, with the amount of raised panel lines you build, you probably like running too.
No.
Okay, well, at least.
Why do you think I bought a rescribing tool?
That's funny you say that because I literally just plugged in my Dremel tool to scribe some facial features on this figure. That's funny.
He's using a Dremel to scribe
just get the Revell kit. Just get the Revell kit and rescribe the panel lines. Boom.
That's right. Are you trying to sell off a Revell kit that you got?
I wish. I would so build that if I had it.
Are you sure you have a girlfriend and it's not a guy? If it's a guy, it's okay. Because the shit you're sounding sounds like it's mad gay.
I'll check and get back to you guys next week.
If it was a girl.
Oh god, he hasn't hit third base.
Yeah, he's got to run there first.
That's valid.
That was pretty good, Dennis. Not gonna lie, that was.
So is this the last slide for the B-25? Dennis, could you go? No, it's not.
Not.
Super strafer.
Right. On to the next slide. Tricked you all. Right, so we're looking at prototypes and experimentals. There are only 3, the NA40, the XB25E and F, and the NA98X. So, Dennis, if we can go on to the next one. We have this knockoff B-25.
What the fuck?
So, before talking about the NA40, we need to clarify that the NA40 was neither a B-25 nor a prototype of a B-25. Just need to point that out. It's a totally different thing on its own, but it looks similar and it was part of the process. The NA-40 constituted a distinct and separate aircraft. B-25 bomber didn't have a prototype. It was developed during its construction. You might be wondering why the history of the NA-40 is included with the B-25, and here the reason lies within the historical context. The NA-40 was North American Aviation's entry in the 1938 competition for a twin-engine attack bomber. Although North American did not win the contract, the testing of the NA-40 demonstrated its impressive capabilities. In the early stages, the aircraft encountered numerous issues. However, these problems were overcome through subsequent design modifications, demonstrating the exceptional engineering capabilities of the team led by Howard Evans. The NA-40 was designed for a crew of 5, including pilot, co-pilot, bombardier/navigator, radio operator/gunner, and gunner. Pilot and co-pilots occupied tandem seats, while a greenhouse nose was provided for the bombardier navigator, and the radio operator and gunner were seated towards the rear. This arrangement allowed for a maximum fuselage width of 45 inches. The wings were shoulder-mounted with constant dihedral and fully underslung nacelles. There. The NA-40 was powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney engines equipped with 3-blade Curtiss electric propellers and featuring 3 30 caliber flexible guns with 500 rounds each. Bays for 2 fixed 30 cal guns were designed into each wing, although they were not initially installed. During the initial test flights, the NA-40 exhibited instability, leading to a total of 14 test flights, amounting to just 5 hours and 20 minutes of flight time. The initial test flights revealed the aircraft required more powerful engines and improved aerodynamics. Between February 28th and March 1st of 1939, the NA-40 underwent a substantial design overhaul. The 2 wing-mounted 30 caliber machine guns were installed, and the Pratt & Whitney engines were replaced with Wright engines, although the Curtiss electric propellers were retained temporarily due to the unavailability of the desired Hamilton standard hydrostatic propellers. The Hamilton propellers could fully feather faster than the Curtiss electric propellers, but were not yet accessible. The modified airframe was designated as the NA-40B and given the civil registration X14221. These improvements were highly successful and testing continued. On April 11th, 1939, during a single-engine test flight, the aircraft lost altitude and crashed. Fortunately, all on board escaped uninjured, and shortly after the exit, the plane burst into flames and was completely destroyed.
Fucking Christ.
So that's just proving it's safe enough that you can get out before it bursts into flames.
Fucking hell.
It's a kooky looking aircraft, isn't it? It's like almost B-25, but not quite B-25.
It's like that, what is it, the X-35?
Will you say, Dennis? You need to speak up.
Sorry, it's giving me Lancaster vibes with that canopy.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a 30s American design with the nose and that canopy. Like they love those sort of the birdcage greenhouse type canopies back then. If we go to the next slide, we have the XB25E and the FA. So these were testing de-icing systems. So during the course of the war, the B-25 bomber was engaged in operations around the world. However, the limitations of the existing inflatable leading-edge de-icer boots had become increasingly evident. Consequently, there was a recognized need to develop a system to address this issue. In response to this challenge, the ICE Research Base was established as a facility dedicated to studying the effects of ice or frost on aircraft and devising effective solutions. Among the aircraft involved in this testing program was North American Aviation's B-25E, which served as the test program. This program also included a B-17F, two B-24s, an XC-53A, an A-26, and a C-82, and a B-26. The XB-25E was not manufactured from scratch, but rather modified from an existing B-25C. The modification process began in early 1943 and continued throughout February 1944. Significant alterations were made within the wing to accommodate the movement of air heated by exhaust gases. The engine cowlings were also adapted to provide the necessary air for the system. Excuse me. The installation of a heat exchanger on the exhaust system, along the control valves for managing airflow, were key components of the modifications. Following minimal testing by North American, the aircraft was delivered to the Lewis Research Center in Cleveland, Ohio in July 1944. Over the subsequent years, the XB-25E, which had been renamed Flamin' Mammy, was extensively involved in various testing programs. In February and March of 1945, the aircraft was used to assess the impact of icing on propellers. The airframe de-icing system proved so effective that it made it possible to isolate the areas of icing specifically on the propellers. Throughout 1945 and 1946, the B-25E played a crucial role in testing to develop improved anti-icing systems for virtually all parts of aircraft. The XB-25E remained a part of testing efforts until February 1953, at which point it was returned to the United States Air Force at Wright Field.
So something good to come out of World War II.
Yeah. Well, there was a few things. The outcomes of the testing demonstrated the effectiveness of the design, although it was considered cost prohibitive for widespread implementation. Nevertheless, the knowledge and data gathered during the testing proved invaluable in enhancing the safety of future aircraft operating in icy conditions. The XB-25F-A was a modified B-20C, used insulated electrical coils mounted inside the wing and empennage leading edges to test the effectiveness of a de-icing system. The hot air de-icing system was tested on the XB-25E was determined to be more practical than the F. So it's just a test bed for de-icing. So, not much to it. And if we go on to the last one, this is the last one, I promise. Need to take a sip first. We come finally to the NA-98X, or Super Strafer. So the development of the NA-98X from the B-25 was a logical progression. Originally, North American had sought to equip the B-25 with Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines, but when those weren't available, the reliable Wright engines were used instead. By 1944, many B-25s were being field modified with additional 50 cal guns, and side blister packs were retrofitted to aircraft that didn't have them from the factory. The 75mm cannon was often replaced with 50 cal guns to enhance the B-25 performance, serving as a cost-effective alternative to the expensive Douglas A-26B. The NA-98X was the culmination of these efforts. The NA-98X aimed to maximize the B-25 performance. B-25Hs were served on the base for these modifications. The wingtips were squared off, increasing the aileron surface area. A low-drag turret canopy was introduced. The more powerful 2,000 horsepower Pratt & Whitney engines offered a significant boost in power, although they added weight. To address the issues of excessive bending movements in the wings during extreme conditions, larger rivets were used in the leading edge skins. This structural modification was implemented due to the increased power in aileron area. Flight testing involved restrictions on maximum speed and acceleration to minimize stress on the wings. However, on March 31st, 1944, the NA-98X had its inaugural test flight piloted by North American test pilot Joe Barton. He reported higher speed, improved acceleration, reduced vibration, and a significantly enhanced roll rate. The NA-98X's performance outshone previous B-25 models. Over the next 25 days, several test pilots, including Chief Test Pilot Ed Virgin, Army pilots Major Otto McIver, Captains Fountain and McFadden, and Squadron Leader Hartford of the RAF evaluated the NA-98X. The last test pilot to fly it was Major Perry Ritchie of the Air Corps at Wright-Field. Major Ritchie and First Lieutenant Winton Way were tasked with testing the aircraft for the Army Air Force. Major Ritchie expressed great satisfaction with the new aircraft. At the end of each day's testing, he executed a high-speed, low-level pass over the flight ramp, followed by a steep spiral pull-up. North American structural engineers had imposed strict airspeed and acceleration restrictions, which Major Ritchie chose to disregard. On the third day of testing...
Good for him.
Yeah. Break the rules. I mean,
Americans.
You're testing. You got to do what you got to do, you know?
Yes.
However. There is a however. On the third day of testing, as Major Ritchie commenced another high-speed, low-altitude pass, he once more pulled up steeply. This time, however, at an altitude of about 200 feet, the outer wing panels detached and flew back into the tail section, sharing it from the plane. The aircraft crashed, resulting in an instantaneous death of both Major Ritchie and First Lieutenant Winton Way.
Good old buff.
Well, maybe they had a point.
That in 40K.
I think the engineers had a point. The NA-98X was completely destroyed, and the investigation into the crash revealed a deep buckle on the top surface of the right wing panel. Although this failure wasn't attributed to the crash's cause, it was Major Ritchie's reaction to it that contributed to the accident. It's worth noting that the increased power and improved handling of the NA-98 made it easier to fly beyond the structural limits of the wings. Such an improvement would likely necessitate wing structure modifications to ensure both the aircraft and crew safety. However, whether these modifications would have nullified the benefits of the improved design or raised the cost to a similar level of the Douglas A-26B is a matter of speculation. Following the crash, the NA-98X program was terminated. And that is it. That is the B-25 Mitchell history and all that bollocks.
Well, fucking hell.
Thank you, Callum.
Yes, thank you very much.
Wow. All right, we're just going to have a brief intermission, then we'll get into hobby news and whips and a couple of announcements on things. So we'll be right back. Dennis, he just puts the Ezra in Israeli.
Oh, shit!
Okay. Right. Shall we continue on this shit show?
Love you guys.
Okay.
Hobby news.
Yes. Hobby news. Panda. Oh, God. and
bro, ain't no way.
The only thing is, I will say with this, because it's a full interior, I would totally build like an HIDF Merkava, but like have the back ramp open and have a little LED lights you can see inside.
Oh shit!
That would be dope as shit.
That would be cool.
Nah, hear me out. I'm gonna build this with everything open and like different sub-assemblies. It's gonna look fire.
That would be pretty cool.
Well, actually, yeah, you do. You've seen those ones where it's they put like the clear sprue and it holds it open in stages.
Yeah, exactly.
It does come with, they say the anti-slip material, although as we found out from Martin, it's not specifically anti-slip material, it's anti-glare material.
So, really?
Yeah. Well, Merkavas have a lot of flat panels in a desert. Flat panels reflect light around the place. You put this rough texture over it, it stops sort of reflection, glares, and all of that, and just helps with concealment in a desert.
I will say this: I would totally.
Or you could just not fight in the desert.
This covered in camel nuts and jungle leaves.
That would be cool. That would be kind of neat.
My biggest criticism of the Merkava is the paint. Horrible color.
Yeah,
bro, I love the color. It's
of course you do. You fucking
Mr. Kark-Tan over here likes this.
Actually, no. It's called Sinai Gray.
I know it's not Kark-Tan. It's neither olive drab nor Kark-Tan. They can't pick a side.
Is that shit really called something gray?
Yeah.
Cyanide gray. Wait,
Oh
they call
my
it cyanide gray.
fucking god.
Again, extremely subtle.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. It's like your HIDF thing, Ezra.
Yeah, so this is from Das Werk. It is
This
the
Vic.
8.8 centimeter Flak Alf 9T Vomag, which is a dedicated anti-aircraft vehicle. And I will say it is a large kit. It comes with a photo etch, and it looks really cool. I got to say, I actually kind of like the look of this vehicle, even if it is German. But it just something about it just looks like
This would make a spectacular HIDF build.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got the test build up in the right hand corner. We've got the 3 schemes. I do like the kill count bands on the barrel, but yeah, I would finally call this as someone doing something interesting or something different, not a fucking another Stug or something like that.
This would be a great HIDF anti-ship vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, think about it. Like,
Dude, no, it's anti-ship, but it's mounted on like a barge.
no. Like, this thing is mobile on the islands, and it just, if there's ships offshore, this bitch can just shoot and move, just fucking bam, bam, bam. Like, and a barge, that would be dope too. But fuck, like,
But also just the look of it. It like, even though it's a dedicated like designed vehicle, it looks so jury rigged.
HIDF.
Yeah. I really want this now. I really want one of these. But yeah, so it comes with full interior. Things are posable. Cool looking model. What's next?
Skip.
ooh.
So up next from
Oh, it's mini art. Yeah,
mini art in 35th scale, we have a T-34-85. This one is a model 1945 from Plant 112. The main distinguishing feature of this type is the turret was made slightly differently. They modified the mod 1945 was the last production basically before the end of the war, and on the right there you can see the different modifications they made to the turret. Interestingly enough, when the production of T-34-85 ceased in Russia, but continued on in other Warsaw Pact countries, Poland and all of them, they didn't use this latest modification. They used the modification from before this one. So this was the Plant 112 was the only plant that made this modification for the T-34-85. But full interior kit, standard mini art affair, probably that really shitty soft plastic. Yeah.
Where mattress? Fucking where's mattress springs?
Probably ran out. Next, please.
Not enough orphans to take them from.
Ooh.
This is one that I really want, actually, even though it is HK models. So they've brought out, in 48 scale, they brought out the Mark III Lancaster. Then after that, they brought out the Dam Busters Lancaster. Now, they're bringing out the special, the Grand Slam Lancaster, which is kind of a sort of natural progression. I mean, when you think about it, to make a Grand Slam, you just blank off the nose turret and remove the top turret and remove the bomb bay. You got yourself a Mark 1 special Grand Slam. So this is definitely something, if I could get, I really, really want to make a Grand Slam special. These things are really cool. They have a really cool camo scheme because they weren't used at nighttime, so they have some of the few Lancasters that had a daytime camo scheme. So even just that fact makes it really cool. But we have a grand total of 396 parts, a wingspan of about 600 mil, a length of 440 millimeters. It's quite a large model, but one that is on my radar. What about you guys?
100%. This is arguably the coolest version of the Lancaster.
I don't build aircraft, so probably not.
I'd say.
What are you yawning about? You're building an AC-130.
I'd say the only thing I can see just from box art that might be slightly wrong with it is the tail gun. purely by the fact that I think the Mark 1 Special, they reduced it from 4 303 machine guns down to 2, just to try and save as much weight as possible. Because, of course, the Grand Slam bomb was so heavy that they were used by 617 Squadron. I've read the book about them. And they used the entire length of the runway to get airborne. And even when they did, the bend in the wings, you look at photos, there's a significant bend in the wings. And they didn't know what would happen when they first dropped it. And of course, when they dropped the 12,000 pound bomb, well, the weight differential, the aircraft would shoot up about 100 foot higher the minute they released the bomb, just because of the weight differential. There was I think one bombardier mentioned that he was lying down aiming the bomb. The minute they released, he was pinned to the ground, and the entire aircraft just rose sharply 100 foot more higher in the air from it. Yeah, it's an interesting aircraft, interesting squadron to read about, actually. 617 Squadron, because they were the dam busters, and then went on and did, as well as the Grand Slam, they'll drop the smaller tall boys, which ultimately helped sink. Was it Tirpitz?
Tirpitz,
Dennis?
Yeah.
So, and actually, you could probably, yeah. So, but yeah, interesting bit of trivia about the Grand Slam special. So, yeah, one to look out for. And I know up next in the figures from Alpine Figures, this particular bit of news made Christian particularly excited. We have two American figures, one of them being a medic. That was what he got really excited over. But we have a whole bunch of heads for them, and yeah, they kind of look pretty good actually. So if you're into figures, Alpine Figures, and 35th.
I can't wait for the Alley release. Let's go.
Give it a week.
The AliExpress release actually comes a day before the actual Alpine release.
Probably.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
They're just ahead of the curve. What's next? Is that all?
Whoops.
Yep, that is all for hobby news. There wasn't a lot, but there were some interesting ones. I'm going to stop talking now. Garrison, you're up.
Take it away.
All right, so I've got 4 slides today because I deserve it. I've been a good boy. So first one, just kind of giving an overall showcasing what I've been working on. I've completed my TACOM 114 and the Tamiya tow jeep for the HIDF bridge defense diorama. I've finished all of the figures and all of the extra equipment and whatnot you see there in front of you. I started. It's kind of funny. I bought these figures to build this diorama over a year ago, like a year and a month ago, and I just now finished them. But yeah, pretty fun stuff. Had a lot of fun working on the vehicles, the figures. I made some custom trash bags with latex gloves, some old milliput, and PVA glue. So that was fun. But yeah, I'll make it short for this slide. If you'll go to the next one, please. So
look at that
first time using deep pour water. This is from Woodland Scenics. I got the clear and then added 3 drops of the blue green and 1 drop of the light gray green to kind of make it kind of look sandyish. So right now I'm looking at it. It's still in the clear container. I've got an alarm set for tomorrow afternoon for when it'll be 24 hours. I can take the tape off, clean up the residue, polish it, add Mod Podge gloss, all that fun shit. But yeah, diorama's almost finished. Very excited. Looking forward to the show in November.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Here's kind of a sneak peek at the diorama before I added the water. I did some test fitting with the vehicles. Had a lot of fun doing the graffiti in the back there. I recently added, before I put the diorama into the box to let the resin cure, I added the spray can. It's a black and red spray can I painted up for the spray paint there in the back. So yeah, looking forward to. I think once I get the resin water done, I can stain the sides, add all of the figures and accessories and vehicles to the build, and then add the plaque, and I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that'll finish this build out. So, and then just some close-up shots of the 114 and the tow Jeep. I have a few videos on YouTube about the figures and the both vehicles, but fun stuff. Dennis, thanks for all the inspiration.
Of course, man.
And then, obviously, the fucking game itself, Arma 3. So, but yeah, that's my whips.
That is amazing, man. Really well done.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Heart emojis.
Oh shit, this is me. So this is my 144th scale Revell H64 that I've built up over like the last month. I just finished it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It ended up being shown on the Ammo by Mig Instagram. So
oh shit.
This guy
Fuck
goes
yeah, it
silent
is.
for 3 months, and he comes back with this.
Yeah, no. So much scratch building was involved. Tons of reference pics. I love how all the cables ended up turning out. They're all just stretched through, except for the fuel line, which is lead wire.
It's fucking nice, dude. Like it, especially for the scale. Like if this was like 48 scale, it would be amazing. But this is. You said it was 1 to what?
144th.
That's fucking insane. Like it's very well done.
Thank you. And I love like the crack in the concrete, like next to where the cables are, where it's kind of bunched up.
Is that cork? To use cork?
No, that was drawn on with a pencil.
Oh no shit!
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So it was just one flat piece, and then I kind of stippled primer on there, some washes, oils, and then all the actual separations were just drawn on with a pencil.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. And then weathered to. You can go on the next slide. And then I built the aviation fire extinguisher from scratch.
Fuck.
Yeah, so the wheels were little photo etched circles, and the rest of it is all stretch sprue and a little lead wire.
That is. How long did that take you? That little fire extinguisher?
Maybe 2 hours.
That's awesome, dude.
Fast. Wow.
Yeah, and then the Hellfires have the little clear tips. The yellow bands were just spare decals. Then the remove before flight covers on the intakes.
Amazing work, Ezra. Amazing.
Yeah,
work.
thank you.
Yeah, as always, dude. Fucking spectacular work, man.
Thank you. Oh, and you can even see the seatbelts.
Which is even more insane at that scale.
Yeah. And then I took it upon myself to pretty much scratch build the interior for a AC-130. It's the Italy kit. Just all made up of plastic hard, some styrene rods, lead wire. This took a few days, and I just did really simple painting in there. I just sprayed black, some gray over it, and then used acrylic washes and called it a day.
Very nice. Do you prefer working with acrylic washes or oil washes?
Oil all day, but I don't know. I wanted to experiment a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty well, and I ended up adding some more cables to the inside, but you'll see them in the finished photos.
Wow, amazing work, guys. Really some neat stuff. Okay, who wants to discuss the new thing we're doing?
That would be a Callum thing.
Yeah, I will. So, as a podcast, of course, we do group builds and stuff like that, but sometimes some people just want to prove they're better than others. So we are implementing a challenge build-off type thing You go mano a mano with someone else in the server. You call them out. You guys decide on what you're going to build, whether it's a 72nd aircraft or whatever. You guys determine it when you start finish, and then throughout the whole time we can see how you're working on it, and then we decide who wins and who loses, and shit talk each other until the cows come home. It's going to be fun to watch. So at the moment, we've got 3 competitions going on at the moment. We have Dennis and Don with Canadian Spitfires. How's that one going?
Well, it's going pretty well. Don and I have both started. So basically the challenge is we need to build a 172 scale Spitfire that was either flown by the Canadian Air Force or by a Canadian pilot in foreign service. He is building an Edward 172 scale Spitfire, one of the later marks, flown by the RAF by a Canadian pilot. And I have chosen to meet his venerable 1 to 72 scale Spitfire Mark V tropical variant because it actually has markings for Canadians flying in Tunisia right out of the box. He's gotten a lot more progress done than I have, but that's the goal this weekend, is to get some more done.
Very cool, very cool. Of course, then we have Hotshot and Christian. They are competing with figures, and Treadhead and Was doing tiny tanks. So we have a channel dedicated to it where you can call someone out. We got a list of rules, then you add yourself to the list. We can discuss it on the podcast, give updates, stuff like that. So yeah, it's looking to be just something a bit different, a bit fun. You don't want to do a full group build, but you could do a buddy build, but we're too competitive for that. If you're both going to be building the same thing, we're going to decide who wins on that. So, and whoever wins basically just gets bragging rights, really. But
yeah, that's something else. If you do this, don't be a bitch. Like if you lose for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. Like don't go crying about it.
But yeah, so we're still figuring out how to do judging and stuff like that. But we've got a while to figure that out. But yeah, if you got any questions or if you want to try and do it, just get in touch with one of us. We'll show you how. Basically, yeah. And Garrison.
All right, so the HIDF group build is a continuous thing. It's just part of the podcast now. We basically started it fucking forever ago, but the official group build started June 6th. It was supposed to end October 6th, but fuck it. Every quarter or so, we'll start showcasing what people build of the HIDF. So come on to the Discord and indulge with us. All right. As of right now, our main group build focus is the North African Campaign group build. It's running from November 1st, 23 to March 1st, 24. Join the Discord server, read all the rules, check out what people are going to build. Really cool prize. It's, believe it's any model or models of your choice, up to $60 US, not including shipping. So only one winner. So come on out, enjoy, have fun, compete, and yeah, build on.
Sounds good. Dennis?
All right, the Micro Machines podcast is proudly sponsored by Scale Colors. If you are looking for non-toxic airbrush paints or 3D printed resin tracks for your latest tank project, definitely drop by scalecolors.com. Give Jeff's amazing products a look and get painting.
Whoop, whoop.
And as always, a massive thank you to our Patreon supporters. We are really lucky. We've got some new supporters this week. So, I'd like to thank Paul Gallagher, Lord Floki, Robert Judson, and Robert Brisbane for all of your support. If you want to access special exclusive content that we are not allowed to post on YouTube, and or just to interact with us more directly, and if you want to just keep the lights on, because it does actually cost money to run this podcast, believe it or not, go on over to our Patreon. The link is in the description of our YouTube video. And consider shooting us a couple of your hard-earned dollars. Awesome. Thank you, guys. And on that note, gentlemen, that was a podcast.
It was a podcast. It was
was
nice. It was very good.
Alrighty.
And
Well,
also, just want to say, Ezra,
Yep.
glad you're back.
yeah. Thanks for
Oh,
coming
thank
back,
you.
Ezra.
Good to be back.
Now we
It's
just
about
got to
time. It's about time.
get Jack
Yeah.
back on, and that's
For real, where's Jack?
Peterborough.
Mm.
all right, Dennis.
Well, if you have come to this point with us, thank you so much for watching and listening to the Micro Machines podcast, and we will return to you next week. Bye, everyone.
See
See
ya.
ya.
See ya.
Was that a jazzy one?